Hey everybody, and welcome to today's video in which we are going to talk a bit about Retopology. Now, right off the bat, I want to quickly explain what is Retopology. Retopology is a process in which you have a pre-existing mesh, a complex mesh that you've either made it into a sculpting software, or you've maybe got it from some client, or maybe you've done a model from photogrammetry. Whatever the case, you have a high density or high detailed mesh that you would like to use for in-game or simply optimize the model. In order to do that, you have to do retopology. So basically, retopology is making a more specialized mesh over a pre-existing mesh. So for this, I'm going to start off in ZBrush. So from here, later on in the second video, I'm going to try and explain how we can do the retopology in 3ds Max, and later on I'll see if I can even squeeze in a few 3D code tricks and techniques. So let's start off first of all with ZBrush. First thing I want to take a look at is my wireframe. So I can access my wireframe by clicking on this icon over here where it says draw polyframe, or just simply by pressing Shift and F. So if I press my Shift and F, you're going to notice that I have a pretty dense mesh. If you take a look at here, I have 1.5 million polygons, which is not very heavy, but still it has quite a bit of detail into the mesh. As you can see, you can notice all of the features of the face, the scarring, and, well, generally quite a bit of detail has been retained into this model. So if I want to go ahead and remodel this or retopologize it in ZBrush, I have a couple of different ways that I can approach this problem. The first one will be to use something called a Zremesher. Now, Zremesher is an option that you have with ZBrush, which kind of automates this entire process. Let me show you what it actually means. For example, I'm going to come in closer over here, and at the moment, like we saw, we're at 1.5 million polygons. Now, when I open Zremesher, you're going to notice that we have some options that we can click or slide around. What we want to keep an eye on is this slider over here where it says target polygon count. What this is basically telling you is, or what you're basically telling Zremesher is, how many polygons do you want it to take into account when it's doing all of the calculations, or better yet, how much is your poly budget. So by default here, this is set at 5. This means if I were to remesh this now, this or the Zremesher will try to make a mesh composed of 5,000 polygons. So this here, 5, is basically thousands. So for example, if I click here and put it at 20, this is going to try and make it so it has, or the Zremeshed mesh has 20,000 polygons. So this option over here, which is by default on, it's adaptive. This adaptive density basically is giving it the ability to allocate number of polygons depending on where they're needed. So if some area needs more density, it will allocate more polygons on that place, like for example the scarring that I have on this side of the face. So let's just go ahead and first of all, let's try and Zremesh this and see what happens. I'm going to hit Zremesher. As soon as I hit Zremesher, it's going to start this progress over here up on the screen. It says Zremesh in progress. Press escape key to abort. We don't want it to abort, we just want it to go ahead and finish, and it's going to spit out a new Zremeshed mesh. But as soon as this thing is finished, you're going to notice a bit of a problem. And let's just see what that problem actually is. All right, come on, finish. I probably should have, oh, there we go. All right, so now if I take a look at my mesh, I want to notice a different thing. This here that was 1.5 million is now at 20,000 polygons. But the problem here is, if I take a look at the face, it's really kind of jumbled up. Even the nose is crooked, the mouth has been deformed. And now if I go ahead and do some divisions, so divide it so it has more detail, you're going to notice that I've lost pretty much all of my details, which is not something that I would like to do. So I'm going to go Control Z a few times back, and here we are before we Zremesh this. All right, so what gives? How can we fix this issue? Or not fix, but rather control the Zremesher. Controlling the Zremesher is actually not that hard. All you have to do is you have to go over at your brushes, you click over here, and down at the bottom you have this very peculiar brush called Zremesher Guides. So when you click on it, you're gonna have an option that when you click on your mesh, it's going to start to draw this line like this. I'm going to go Control Z, and for this I'm going to click on X so I turn on symmetry mode, and now I can try and define where I want my Zremesher to keep my flows. So for example, if I click around the eyes like this and draw out again like this, you're gonna notice that as soon as I'm finished, this is now a closed circle. We have this grayed out version on this side, which means I have it on both sides because I'm using the symmetry mode. Then I can go ahead and define a few more lines or features on the face that I want Zremesher to try and follow. For example, I want to have this go around the mouth like that. I want to have it around the nose. Let's try and simply get it so like this, around the nasal cavities. All right. Now we can add a few more lines just so Zremesher has a few guides to follow. Now generally Zremesher does a great job. It can give you very good results, and you don't have to go ahead and give it so many guides. But if you want to like retain some flow of your model, then it's pretty much a good idea to lay in the foundations of your mesh. So let's go like this. Okay, this is probably a bad idea over here, but all right, so we have that following. I want this to go over here like this. All right, and I won't go in any deeper than I have to, because this is not a video about Retopology on the face, but rather a general introduction to Retopology. All right, so now once we have all of these set in, or all of these Zremesher guides set in, I'm going to click on Zremesher and see what happens. So I'm going to click here. And now as soon as this is finished, I can notice that even though my face has still been a bit deformed, I have kept many of these edges intact. As you can see, where we set all of those guides, the program or the Zremesher tried to keep those flows going as much as possible. So if I subdivide it a few times, now I can see I've retained some of the features of the mouth, the eyes a bit, but in general, this is the automated version of doing all of this. It can be helpful in many cases where you don't need to have like very fine details like this, but in general, it does a great job and you can get away with a lot of it. Now, this is with the Zremesher, or this is the automated way of doing a retopology. Inside ZBrush, you have another way of approaching retopology, and that is the really slow and manual way of doing it with the help of Z-spheres. So let's go ahead and see how we can do this with Z-spheres. In order to show this, what I will need to do is go over here where I have my tool, click on it and choose a Z-sphere. So what this is going to do, it's going to place one big red sphere in the middle of your screen. And now, once you have the Z-sphere, what you want to do is go down in the rigging section of the menus and click on Select Mesh. As soon as you select Mesh, then click on the torso. This is basically a ZBrush asking you where do you want to use the Z-sphere to make the retopology. So since I wanted to make it on top of the torso, I'm going to click on Select Mesh, and from here select the torso. Now you're going to notice this thing. Now we have this red ball, but in the middle of it we have our base mesh. So in order to be able to start retopology or start work on the retopology, I'm going to close down rigging. I'm going to go up or down on where it says topology. Over here you have this button where it says edit topology. As soon as you click on it, you're going to notice that the whole sphere just disappeared. But now if you take a look at it over here in my brush, you're going to see that we have this sketch 1 selected. So what sketch 1 does when you're in Z-sphere with the topology, edit topology button clicked, what you have the option to do is go over your pre-existing mesh, and now I'm going to turn on symmetry again. I'm going to click here, and I notice, whoops, weirdest times to save. All right, I'm going to click once, twice, 3, 4. Click. All right. Oh, of course, the edit topology just... Okay, so edit topology. Sorry about that. ZBrush, when it saves, it kind of likes to disable edit topology. So again, click, 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 and click back. So you've seen me do this motion, and I've added in 4 vertices that are connected with edges, and they are making an actual polygon. But now, what kind of a polygon is this if we can't see it? Well, we can see it. All we have to do is go over to Adaptive Skin. Over here you have this button Preview. So once you click it, you're going to now notice that that thing that we just made is actually this polygon over here. So I'm going to turn off preview again. And this density over here, if you turn it down to 1, it's only going to consider an actual polygon, the things that you just made. But if it's set to 2, it's going to tessellate your polygon, and you're going to get more polygons like this. If this is set to 1, it's just that polygon. The quick button for this is just pressing the A button. So A will toggle you on and off through where you have those polygons. Now here's a neat thing about using this. You can move these vertices around. All you have to do is just go over with the move, click on the vertex that you want to move around, and put it into position. So as you can see, you have quite a bit of leniency and control over how you want to build this. Now here's the tricky part. Once you build one polygon, you want to continue building more. You have to hold down Shift and click on the vertex that you just want to start working from. So once you click Shift, let go of Shift. There we go. Shift again, so we can continue on like this. Shift again. All right, awesome. Now I can just use with the move and put it more into position, where naturally I would need to have more geometry. So for here, I would probably use something like this. There we go. Again with the draw, hold on Shift, hold on Shift, let go Shift. It's a bit of a, it's not a bit of a, it's a hell of a lot of manual work. But once you start using it, you get the hang of it, and pressing the, knowing when to press the Shift and then let go kind of gets to be like a second nature. So once you want to start from a actual vertex, you scroll over that vertex, hold down Shift, click on it, then release, and just click away. Hold down Shift, click, release. Hold down Shift, click, release, and hold on Shift, again, click and release. So slowly you start building a mesh. When you press on the A, you basically get this geometry over here, which is kind of fun way of building extra geometry. All right, turn off A, and more or less this is the basics of doing retopology with Z-spheres. It's a very, very well, I don't want to call it old way of doing stuff, but it's a very precise and manual way of doing retopology. Sometimes it can be helpful, but in all honesty, I would very much prefer to do this in a different software, because it's really time consuming doing it in ZBrush. But it's really a good thing to know how to do it, because sometimes if you want to extract a single piece of geometry, or you want to make an extra overlaying geometry or an object, it's really easy just to build in a manual mesh, and from there start sculpting or start building whatever else you need. And with this, we're gonna put a wrap on our retopology in ZBrush. So I hope you guys had fun and you managed to learn something new. If you have any questions, leave them below and I will meet you in the comment section of the video. If you did enjoy the video, then please click the like button, and if you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.